A lot of women think that they just need another diet, and what they don't realize is that another diet isn't going to fix it.
I have tried many things before.
Every diet in the world, I guess.
I've tried literally everything. I just never lost the weight.
Women blame themselves. They think that it's my fault that I can't stick to a diet, and it's not. And when you go and you look at these wounds and you heal those traumas, that's when you can actually release the weight, and that's when it becomes really easy to be your ideal weight.
Before meeting Brittany, I had tried other weight loss tricks. I had kind of like given up on that. So I was just going along in life, but feeling kind of stuck. And that's when I discovered Brittany.
I really appreciate Brittany's all-in approach in working with people who have subconscious blocks around food and eating.
I can just enjoy what I want and not stuff myself like I'm never going to have it again.
She truly loves us, and she truly wants us to heal.
And these are women that have struggled with addiction for 30, 40, 50 years, and in 3 months, they will not have one addictive craving.
Once you start working with Brittany, your goal is for the weight loss, but then in the end, that's not your goal. It's more about discovering yourself.
I have seen such a difference in the way that I feel about myself. Through her work, I've got permission to love myself.
Healing of emotional hurts from younger years just vanished.
And because of Brittany and her program, for the first time in my life, I feel like I am awesome.
She has a way of teaching you how to know where to go next.
I have grown so much.
It's a journey, and her program really helps with that and helps you realize that you're worth it.
Brittany's the gal to go to. It's totally life-changing.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for texting in the chat and letting me know that you're here. Can you hear me okay? Okay, awesome, awesome, awesome. I am so curious who we have here today that is already a student of mine. If you're a student of mine, say hey in the chat. Hey, Dorada, hey, Abby, hey, Marilee, 7-day challenge. Okay, cool. And if you are not a student of mine, and if you're like brand new to my work, you don't really know what's going on or why you're here, will you say me in the chat just so I can get a pulse on how many of those newbie? Okay. Looks like there's some new people as well. Awesome. You guys, I'm getting over a cold, so I might be blowing my nose and sniffling and all sorts of things today. So just giving you a heads up. Okay. Part of the 7-day challenge day will be day 3. Awesome, Chris. I'm so glad you're doing that. Okay. Cool. Okay. So you guys are, it seems like most everybody is familiar with my work, which is awesome. So I want to see by a show of hands, how many of you have tried and failed diets before? How many of you tried and failed to lose weight before? Say me in the chat. Many, many times. April says, yes, me. Multiple times, hundreds of times. Okay, so basically all of us. Right? And now, here's the thing. If you really think about it, losing weight actually isn't the hard part. See, we've all lost weight. The hard part is keeping the weight off. Okay, so I'm going to tell you something. After spending more than a decade and definitely more than $100,000 of my own money, I have found what I believe is the only and the most effective way to permanent weight loss. Okay, and I want you to write this down. This is all without pharmaceuticals, no surgeries, no pills, no shakes, no needles, no chemicals, no jabs, nothing that we don't know the long-term side effects of. I'm going to show you what $100,000 of my own money and a decade of my life returned. So if you have a pen and a piece of paper together during the rest of our time together, I'm going to show you the secret to permanent weight loss. And here's the best part. You can still eat whatever you like. I've had hundreds of students tell me that my techniques work just like Ozempic. I haven't tried it yet myself, But what they say is, Brittany, this is just like natural Ozempic, but we get to avoid the potentially dangerous side effects of the chemicals or the needles. Okay, so are you ready for a solution that took me 10 years and more than $100,000 to discover? See, diets, trainers, pills, shakes, even surgeries often fail. But there are women from around the world that come to me for the missing piece. And this, I'm going to prove to you that permanent weight loss is absolutely possible. When you embrace this missing piece, you can look the way you want while eating what you want whenever you want. See, you didn't find me by accident. Today is the day that you get a glimmer of hope and we destroy these freaking lies that you've been told. Because the truth is, you've been lied to. The fitness industry, the pharmaceutical industry, the medical industry, they profit by prescribing, not by curing. They benefit long-term if they sell you a Band-Aid instead of fixing the wound. It's not in their best interest to address the cause of your weight gain. They would rather sell you something to treat a symptom or two. How many of you guys know this is true? If you're taking down notes, I want you to write down the word goal, followed by a colon, because you may think your goal is to stop cravings, lose 25 pounds, fit into old clothes, maybe reignite your relationship, but none of these are your real goal. Okay, I'm going to tell you what your real goal is, and everybody should have the same goal. Notice I said goal, not goals. Are you ready? Your real goal is to find the root cause. I want you to write that down. Your real goal is to find the root cause. People say, I've been battling with my weight for years, but that's not true. You haven't been battling your weight for years because it doesn't take years to achieve weight loss. See, I know this is a polarizing statement, but it's on purpose. What people mean is that I have been manipulated, I have been deceived, I've been tricked, and I've been conned into working on the wrong thing. And as long as I spend my time, my energy, my effort, and my money trying to solve symptoms of a problem instead of spending all of my time, energy, efforts, solving the root cause of the problem, I'm always going to struggle with my weight. Does this make sense to everybody? Type yes in the chat if this is making sense to you. Okay, so who's ready to get to the root cause? Because I know this isn't sexy. It's much easier for me to sell you another diet or just tell you to take Ozempic, right? But there's a reason why celebrities, politicians, CEOs, and many, many more people that I can't name, and more than 257,469 women call me the missing piece for a reason. It's because I'm here to give you the truth. Okay, now see, if you ask me, of course, I'm going to tell you my perspective is right. Okay, I know that I'm biased here because discovering the root cause of my weight gain and emotional eating changed my entire life. And it's changed the lives of hundreds of thousands of my clients for over a decade. So of course I'm biased. I want to recognize that. So I don't want you to listen to me. Okay, I want you to listen to the women who are sitting in the exact same seats that you're sitting in right now.
I started doing this the middle of January, the 16th of January. I have lost 11 pounds since then.
This shit works.
I've lost 2 dress sizes and I'm losing more.
I don't have emotional eating or cravings anymore.
I've lost 2 pounds this week.
I am centered, safe in my body, lost weight, kept it off.
I'm wearing clothes that I haven't worn in 2 years. And people at church are commenting, oh, you're losing weight, you're looking good. And I'm like, yeah, I feel good in everything. It's just awesome.
And during this time I've lost 18 kilos. The weight loss is just a bonus. I'm a much more confident, calm, happy person altogether than I've ever been in my entire life. And fitness-wise, you know, I'm fitter now at 40 than I was when I was 20.
I've managed to lose 45 pounds. It's just been so life
life-changing for me.
Could not have done this of my own volition. And this time, though, the difference is I look in the mirror and I go, hey, I like what I see.
Haven't been able to break the block of the rest of my weight, and I've dealt with chronic bloating. And I've worked with all nutritionists, doctors, probiotics, like vegan, whatever. That is a sign that I am in the right place. First time in my life, there's just nothing to hate on.
Okay, so you guys might be thinking, all right, great, Brittany. Well, if all that's true, then what's the root cause, right? You've probably heard this before, right? That we have two minds, right? We have a subconscious mind and we have a conscious mind. And scientists have proven that 90% of what you think and do is run by your subconscious mind. This includes your thoughts on food and exercise. Your emotions and behaviors are controlled by a part of your brain called the hippocampus. Okay. You're probably thinking, what does this have to do with my weight? I want you to write this down. The answer is everything. See, fears and phobias, they seem to arise without a clear reason. Okay. But what I bet you didn't know is that there's this area of the brain called the hippocampus that stores memories, and it triggers automatic fear, anxiety, and pleasure responses. Okay, so we're going to do a test right now to see if this is you, because maybe it's not. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to put a picture on the screen right now, and we're going to see what happens. Okay, I want you to notice your reaction to it. Okay, and type in the chat. Tell me what your reaction to this is. When you see this clown, how are you responding? Deanna says scary. Pamela says shocked. Sheila says creepy. Margaret says creepy, scary, creepy, ew, creepy, creeped out, creepy, 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 weird, shocked, scary, nothing, sad. Okay, great. So you had a reaction. So just note that reaction, okay? I'm gonna give you a little beach break. Little beach break. Looks like my old home in Playa del Carmen here a little bit. Abby said you laughed. Okay. All right. Now check out what happens with this one. How are you reacting to this one? Type in the chat. Chris says, yuck. Terror, scared. Ah. Samantha says fear. Laura says cute. Cassidy says go away. Yuck, eek, gross. I hate spiders. Fear. Okay. Ooh, it's coming. It's coming closer. It's coming closer. Run. Okay. So here's something. I'm going to pause it so we don't have that continuing to crawl at you. Okay. So here's what I want you to realize. As smart as you are, you don't even know why you're responding this way. You just know you don't like those things, right? See, if you reacted to this, this is completely your subconscious mind. You don't even know why you don't like these things, right? If you were an alien from another planet, you might come down and think that that clown is a colorful, friendly creature and you want to invite him to your next space party, right? Or you might think this spider is super cute and soft and you want to pick it up and pet it and make it your pet and put it in your pocket and take it with you, right? Okay. So what you may or may not know is that your hippocampus is the thing that is responsible for your good and bad feelings. See, when an event occurs, it creates an imprint in the hippocampus, and the hippocampus sends signals to the amygdala, which is your body's fight or flight response when you experience something bad, or to the nucleus accumbens, which is your brain's reward center when you experience something good. When you're reminded of something bad that happened, the hippocampus activates this memory and it causes the amygdala to send stress signals, right? Which can lead to behaviors like emotional eating to soothe stress. Because here's the truth. You can't eat food and feel bad at the same time, right? Your brain is releasing dopamine, serotonin, endorphins, basically all the feel-good chemicals for your body, which is great for adaptability. Your brain's done an awesome job at keeping you alive. But here's the thing. This isn't great for weight loss. Okay? All right, I'm going to show you an example of how this works. And let's see here. I'm going to get my Let me get my whiteboard up. Okay. Here's our cute hippocampus right here. Can you guys see what I'm talking about here? The circles with all the little dots. Cool. Okay. So this circle in the middle is your hippocampus. And all these little dots on it are all the experiences and the traumas, both big and small, that we experience in our day-to-day lives. Okay. Something happens and it creates an imprint in our psyche. You hear this thrown around a lot. Okay. Wow, she really made an impression. Okay. So what's happening is it's literally stamping inside your hippocampus and saying, remember this. Okay. Now, when the experience is good, the little imprint goes to the nucleus accumbens, which is the green. It's the reward. It's the happy feelings. It's the yay. It's all the good, yummy feelings. Okay. And memories. When the experience is bad, it goes to the amygdala, which is this red area here. And it's telling our body, this is bad. This is fight or flight. This is not good. So for example, like you might have been a 5-year-old. Let's say, for example, you were 5 and you were walking out of your apartment with your parents and there was a really big dog that lunged at you. And nothing happened. You were fine. Your dad swooped you away and nothing happened. But you now have grown up and you're a 30-something-year-old and you tell everybody that you don't like dogs. You just don't like dogs. You've never liked them. You don't know why. You don't necessarily remember this dog lunging at you, but just when you see dogs, you feel anxious. You feel a little anxious. You feel a little on edge, right? Or maybe you had a stepdad who wasn't very nice to your mom and you get a new job and there's somebody you got to work with and you just don't like his voice. You do not like his voice. You don't like what he, oh, Sally, did you just jump on? What's happening here?
Yes, I did. I'm sorry, Brittany.
Okay, thanks. So you just don't like this guy's voice. Now, you don't remember that this guy reminds you of your stepdad because maybe he looks totally different than your stepdad. Maybe he just has glasses that remind you of your stepdad. Okay. But what's happening is that your brain is constantly using these indentations and these imprints as a way to orient to the world. Okay. All right. You guys like that drawing? You like my little drawing here? Was it worth the hassle of me showing it to you? All right, close whiteboard. Very fancy. You like my work? Okay. Let's go back. Oh, now what's happening? There we go. Okay. So what I want you to do is I want you to, just to put this into context, what I want you to do is I want you to think about going to your next party. How does it feel to walk into the room? Okay, type in the chat so I know that you're with me here. How does it feel to walk into the room? Do you feel a little anxious? Do you feel a little on edge? Are you, Pamela says uneasy, Sharon says stressed, horrible, anxious, overwhelmed, hate it, very anxious, uncomfortable, stressed. Okay. So you might not know exactly why. Maybe it's a little bit of social anxiety. Maybe you're stressed about the food. Maybe you've got this like subconscious reminder of like, not being picked for kickball when you were 8 years old and you were hanging out on the playground, or your mom is going to make a comment to you about going back for a second serving of dessert. What's happening? Do you notice the discomfort in your body when you think about these? Okay, now, as you put yourself in this scenario, Pamela says, yes, stressed, talking myself out of going. Good example. Yes, full discomfort. Okay, cool. So when you put yourself in this scenario, I want you to really tune in with yourself. Is there a part of you that's thinking about food right now and how nice it would be to have a little bit of that snack that's over there? Do you see that? Do you see that? Okay, some people are yes, some people are no. Okay. If you are a yes, okay, let's see. Hold on. Let me just look through these. Okay, when you put yourself in these scenarios, the people that are a no, how do you cope with these scenarios? Okay. April says yes, distraction for how I feel. It's a gap between my desires and what's allowed. Absolutely. Super self-conscious. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, I go to the kitchen and become a helper. I'm heading for the food. No, I want to leave. The food makes me feel calm. I just want to hide. Okay, exactly. So this is exactly what I'm talking about. These are the triggers that are setting off the amygdala, telling you to soothe stress because your brain thinks that you're in survival. Okay, your brain thinks that you're in survival and that there's a problem right now. And the best way for it to survive is to eat food so that you can flood your brain with all these happy chemicals and you don't feel that stress response, right? Okay, so you know how you recognize someone's face, right? A friend or a family member, you don't have to put any thought into that. You just see them, you think, do I know you? You don't even think that, right? You just recognize them when you see their face and you have these specific emotions and responses attached to them, right? Like how many of you guys have been in relationships, right? I mean, pretty much all of us have. If your hand's not up, you're a liar. Have you ever put any thought into that? Think about your spouse and your partner or your partner. At one point, that person was a complete stranger. And now there are things that you let that partner do to you every single day that if anybody else did it, you'd be like, hell no, that's disgusting, right? Like you'd be absolutely disgusted and turned off by it. Or for all the moms in here, think about your baby, for example. How many times have you let your baby take a sip of your drink? The baby takes a sip of the drink, the backwashes all into it. It's got all the little floaties in the water. And you think, oh, well, that's just how it goes. You don't think anything of it, right? But what if a stranger did that to you? What if a stranger walked up and took a sip of your drink? How would you respond? You'd be like, excuse me? But you let your spouse or your kids do it, right? It's still the same nasty, disgusting action, but you're processing it differently because subconsciously your hippocampus is sending positive signals instead of positive or negative signals. When you experience that person's face, it's triggering all the positive emotions, feelings, and responses. So this is just another example of the reason that you do the things you do because of the indentations in your hippocampus. The cause of your weight gain is in your subconscious mind, specifically the emotional responses to the people, places, and the experiences in your everyday environment. And you guys, this is science. This isn't the brain according to Brittany. This is exactly what any doctor or psychologist would tell you about how your brain works and how it stores memories and emotions. Okay, Brittany, so that's great. What does my hippocampus have to do with weight loss? I'm so glad you asked. So I want you to take a look at this iceberg here, okay? It is a perfect representation of your mind when it comes to weight loss. See, the tip of the iceberg right here is the part that you can see above the surface. And this is where most people focus. This is where you've been focusing your whole weight loss journey. This is what you've been focusing on: diet plan, exercise routines, willpower. But that's just a tiny part of the picture. See, beneath the surface is the subconscious mind, and this is where the real drivers of behavior live. See, experiences, both big and little traumas, shape your beliefs about yourself, your body, and food. Okay? Examples of, you've heard these phrases before of big T and little t. So an example of a big T event would be like growing up in an alcoholic household, having a toxic parent, or enduring any kind of abuse, right? Whether it's psychological, verbal, sexual, which you've heard me talk about a lot. These are major contributors of extra weight. Major contributors. And I believe that I was one of the first people on the internet to coin that this is the correlation between sexual trauma, and extra weight. Now, there are smaller traumas. There are smaller traumas, everyday experiences that are just as powerful, okay? So there are things that you're not going to maybe remember as clearly. Maybe mean kids at school, or feeling unloved, not getting picked for kickball, like we said before, coming home from school and your mom just wasn't there to hug you. Or maybe, dealing with the struggle of a move across, move from one town to another, or from one school to another, or maybe even a divorce. See, what happens is that these experiences add up over time, and you create beliefs like, I'm not safe, I'm not good enough, I'm not lovable. And these silently control your behaviors. And that's why focusing on only diet and exercise isn't enough. And it's never going to work. And it hasn't worked, because the real work is what's happening beneath the surface. Is this making sense to everybody? Type yes in the chat. Yes, yes, yes. I'm seeing a lot of yeses. Thank you guys for being so chatty with me. Love it. Okay. So here is a photo of me as a child. My empaths in the room might notice the light in my eyes, the innocence, the joy, the confidence, right? And you guys, we're all born like this. I think I'm about 5 years old here. We're all born with this unshakable sense of self-worth. We know deep down that we deserve everything good that the world has to offer: love, happiness, everything. Okay? But then what happens? Life starts to life. My parents were always too busy to listen to my problems, but food was always there for me, which formed a belief that I'm on my own with my feelings. Food is my only reliable source of comfort. My parents dismissed my feelings and told me to just get over it instead of comforting me. This developed into a belief where my emotions are a burden to others. It's better to keep my feelings to myself. I was left alone at home from a very young age with caregivers who were neglectful or frightening. I remember feeling unsafe and anxious and had no one to turn to, which gave me the belief the world's dangerous and there's no one to protect me. My needs were often ignored and I had to fend for myself, which developed into beliefs that my needs don't matter. Others won't provide for me. I'm alone and I must not rely on anyone. Who's resonating with this? Type yes in the chat. And so as we grow up, life happens, right? These traumatic experiences, both big and small, they chip away at that light. Now look at this photo. My empaths, you might notice that the light in my eyes has dimmed. Okay? Whether it's the harsh words, feeling unloved, or moments that make us question our worth, these experiences create cracks in our confidence, and it dims the light that we were born with. Okay? When I was a kid and I was called an idiot in front of everybody. This gave me a belief that I'm stupid, nobody likes me, and I'm not important. When my grandma passed away and I saw her in her final moments, I developed a belief that loving someone means inevitable pain, so it's safer to keep a distance. Constantly being criticized and told that I was never good enough by my caregiver developed into a belief that I'm fundamentally flawed and I must earn approval to be valued. When I was assaulted by somebody that I thought was a friend, developed into a belief that if I'm overweight, I can protect myself from being hurt again. How many of you guys are resonating with these? Type yes in the chat. And then this is how your traumas create low self-esteem. All of that light gets buried under these layers of pain and self-doubt, culminating into an angry teenager with very low self-esteem. I now believe that my sexuality is my power. I'm ugly. I'm stupid. I have nothing of value to offer. I'm not worthy. I'm alone. I have to earn love. I don't deserve to be loved. I don't deserve to be happy. I'm not good enough. I have to do everything alone. People will betray you. I can't trust anyone. You guys, this is my life's calling. And the work that I share is about peeling back those layers so that we can discover the light and the part of us that always knew that we were enough. If I could sum up my work in one sentence, that's exactly how I would say it. My work is about peeling back those layers so that we can rediscover the light and the part of us that always knew we were enough. And one of the coolest things that I believe I will be known for in history is discovering how food, disordered eating and food and trauma will actually take us there. By following the food, we can uncover, we can rediscover ourselves. And I'm going to give you guys an example of that. We're going to go through this today. Okay, now some people might say this doesn't apply to me. You know, I've never been mentally abused. I've never been sexually abused. Maybe, you know, I grew up in like I had a pretty good childhood. Well, if that's you, there's one more secret hidden trauma that's actually affected all of us. Like we can't hide from it. We can't get away from it. And we're still actually traumatizing our children on a daily basis without realizing it. And tomorrow I'm going to circle back on that and I'm going to tell you what that is. So a little bit about me. When I was 15 years old, I was kicked out of my house. You probably thought I was cute. I didn't think I was cute. I suffered with low self-esteem. I had been sexually abused. I had narcissistic parents. I had suffered extreme emotional abuse. I dropped out of high school just to afford to pay my rent. And the only reason that I didn't end up on the streets is because something inside of me whispered that I was meant for more. And instead of ignoring that voice, I chose to listen. Fast forward to today, I've helped 247,469 women heal their relationship with food and lose weight. I have traveled the world for 10 years. I lived as an expat in Latin America and Europe. I've run a multinational online business for more than a decade. I have amazing family and friends who love me. And I ticked off most of the experiences on my bucket list by the time I was 35. You know, a friend of mine, his wife was a stay-at-home wife before she was a stay-at-home mom. She grew up with her mom working as a nurse. Okay. And she would ask her mom to go to soccer games or to take her to the mall with friends. And she would always hear the same response. No, I can't do that. I'm not like Amy Miller's mom. Well, who's Amy Miller? See, Amy Miller's mom was her friend's mom, who was a stay-at-home mom. And she was able to take her daughter to all the soccer games, to the mall whenever she wanted. She planned fun parties for her kids, and she was always available for her children. See, my friend's wife saw her mom, and she was overworked. She was stressed out. She was always complaining. She wasn't happy. And she decided, I don't want that life. So guess what she decided to be when she grew up? A stay-at-home mom. And now, see, I have the opposite experience. When my parents got divorced, my mom didn't know how to work to provide for us, and we had to move in with my grandparents. And so I saw how hard it was for my mom to be a stay-at-home mom, and I decided that I never wanted to depend on a man for money. So I worked, and I decided not to have a family because of that. You guys, these are also trauma responses. Trauma can be as simple as a comment or watching someone you love experience something painful. These subtle messages or simple comments, they end up shaping your identity, and then you decide how to be in the world and what your world looks like. And as I'm saying this, I'm sure you guys are already thinking of things that have happened to you that have shaped your identity. You guys, your views about money, your views about your body, your views about relationships. You are doing things with money and relationships right now that is a direct reflection of something someone said or did in your life growing up. You think about your body in a way that is a direct reflection of something someone said or did in your life growing up. And you guys, these are scientific facts. This isn't the brain according to Brittany. This is exactly what any doctor or psychologist will tell you about how the brain works and how it stores memories and emotions. Now, remember, this is subconscious. You won't realize you're doing it. You'll just wonder why you can't stop eating chocolate and why you can never seem to stick to a diet. Is this making sense? Now, this doesn't happen like where you have an anxiety attack and somebody makes a bad comment and then you decide, okay, I'm going to go eat my feelings away. Although that certainly can happen. More commonly, it looks like this. It looks like coming home from work after a really long day. Maybe it's been hard. You've had a lot of stress. And now you're at home, you're sitting in front of the TV and you can't put down the freaking ice cream. Okay. This is your brain's way of triggering those positive and negative feelings. And remember, where is all this taking place? In your where? Type in the chat. Where is this taking place? In the hippocampus. Yes. And who's in charge? The conscious or the subconscious mind? Subconscious. Yes. Okay, so you're probably thinking, okay, Brittany, thank you for telling me all of my problems. And this seems hopeless, right? Well, it does seem hopeless. But I want everybody to write down unless. Unless we retrain your brain and we cut the ties. Because here's what can happen. Oh, am I going to try to do this again? I'm going to, okay, I'm going to go for it. Oh, maybe it was in here. All right. Okay. So basically, if I had to explain it, what I wanted to show you is that, do you remember all of those little strings and those ties that were going to the amygdala, to the green, to the red, and to the green? What we can do is we can retrain your brain and we can cut the ties. Okay? We can cut those ties so that you can have those same experiences. You can walk into the room and you can see all of the people and you can feel confident. You can see that buffet of food and you can feel like, oh, you know what? I'll just have a plate or I'll just have a few bites, or you don't even care. You don't even notice the food. You just notice all your friends. You can have that bad day and not think about ice cream. That's what happens when we cut the ties. Okay, so here's a question for you. I'm going to give you a test, and don't worry, everybody's going to get it right. I want you to type in the chat what your name is. Okay. Chris, Laura, Abby, Glenda, Dorada, Haley, Piper, Diana, Ashley, Mari. Okay, cool. So my next question is, how do you know? How do you know that's your name? People called you a lot of things in life. You cut somebody off on the freeway and they call you an asshole. And if somebody calls you an asshole, that's your name now. So how do you know that's your name? My parents told me it's like conditioning. That's what my mama called me. All right. What's your point, Brittany? My point is that you respond to that name because it's something you were trained to respond to. Okay. When you came here, you didn't even really know for sure that that was your mom or dad. You come to learn that that's them, but you don't really know that at first, right? So when you realize that everything about you is something that you were trained to respond to, you were handed a set of beliefs. You were handed a set of someone else's beliefs. So what about this? And maybe this is you. There's a kid growing up and she's just taken in the world. She's very observational. Okay. She likes looking around. She likes learning and watching. She doesn't say much. All right. She just likes to take it all in. And people go, oh, you know, this is my daughter. She doesn't talk much. She's shy. Have you ever seen parents do this? Oh, hey, this is my daughter. She's shy. And now you grow up and what do you start saying? I'm shy. You have just taken ownership of that because it was handed to you. But you could have just been taking information in and you didn't have anything to say in that moment. You guys, you do this in your everyday life all the time. Most women, when they get married, they take the last name of their spouse, right? So that means you spend 20, 30, 40, 50 years responding to one last name. And then what happens once you get married? You suddenly start responding to a totally different name. And for anybody who's married here, do you remember the first time you heard it out loud? Somebody called your name and you were thinking like, oh, wow, that's me. Right? What did you do in that moment? You were retraining your brain to respond to a new name. You guys, we do this every day. They knock out a road and you have to take a detour and you don't know how to go that way at first. And then suddenly you just start taking a new route, right? Or you move to a new city and you don't know where anything is, right? What do? You go to Google, you find your coffee shops, you find your dry cleaners. You don't know where they are at first, but you look it up. Google takes you there a few times, and then suddenly those places become places you go all the time. You just trained your brain to do something new. So you weren't born knowing how to do all of these things, but you learned how to train your brain over time. Well, so what happens when you don't need an app on your phone anymore? What do? You delete it, right? How many of y'all are single like me and you're using dating apps, right? We download the dating app. We're like, okay, I'm single. I don't want to be single anymore. And we're out here, we're swiping, we're looking for bae. And then we find somebody and we're like, what do you do with the app? You delete them, right? Because you don't need it anymore. It served its purpose. You found bae. It's not serving you. Hopefully you don't have to re-download it again. But my point is, just because this is the way your brain responds now, it doesn't mean it's the way it always has to respond, guys, because we can cut the ties. Okay, I want you to type in the chat, cut the ties. How many of you guys think it would be really valuable if I just helped you cut the ties right now? Abby says, cut the ties. Pamela says, cut the ties. Fabiola says, cut the ties. Yes, please. Okay, because we know we have all these ties, right? That's what's triggering all these behaviors, right? If you don't get anything else from me, would it be valuable if I showed you today how to cut those ties? Susan says, cut the damn ties. Scissors. I love the scissor emoji. Yes. Okay, so let's do that. All right. So here's basically how to install a new app for your brain to run. Okay. Step one, we got to figure out which memories and experiences are triggering the cravings and the emotional eating, also the self-sabotage, the extra weight, and we got to relive those. Okay. We kind of make a map of those things. Okay. And when you relive those experiences, what do you think happens? Your brain starts to send the stress signal or the pleasure signal. Okay. That's what happens, because that's what's happening right now. Step two is that the brain has to be interrupted from sending these signals and instead flood it with a different signal. Okay, so I just remember learning this. I mean, I learned about this decades ago, but I remember thinking, well, if my brain is just sending the wrong signal, the next logical question is, how do I jam the signal? Now, y'all, remember, I'm a high school dropout. I don't know a whole lot. And y'all got more degrees than a thermometer in here, okay? I know you. But is this making sense to you the way it's making sense to me? You guys, you know those action movies, right? There's a bomb about to go off. And what do they always say? We got to jam the signal. We got to jam the signal. Well, yeah, that makes sense. Well, what's the next question? How do we jam the signal, right? Y'all, I spent so many years in therapy, reading books, taking classes, trying every book, program, pill I could get my hands on, freaking decades working with NLP and shamanic soul retrieval and all this shit trying to jam my freaking signal. And I couldn't figure it out. I found a lot of things that would help me lose weight. And sometimes it would work, but it would always be temporary. Okay. Nothing ever helped me jam the signal. I would still have food cravings. I would still eat emotionally. I'd still sabotage myself. So I realized one day, okay, I got to find my own freaking way to jam the signal. And because you guys, I have very shitty willpower. I don't know about you, but I couldn't make myself take a few deep breaths when I want to eat the chocolate freaking cake. Okay? Or call my friend when I was having a meltdown about a fight that I had with my boyfriend. I needed something so effective that my brain would forget to even have the cravings. And guys, that's exactly what I discovered. And I'm going to tell you about that in a minute. I'm going to show you that in a minute. And see, what's crazy about this is that when it's done repeatedly, not only can we jam the signal, y'all, we can completely disable the bomb, which means you stop having the cravings altogether. Your brain won't remember how to eat the chocolate cake when you're upset. Your brain won't remember to walk to the fridge when you're pissed off at your boyfriend. your brain won't understand why the fuck is it holding on to all this extra weight? And all we did was jam the signal, guys. It's not that complicated. How many of y'all got exes? All right. Yes, everybody has exes, right? At one point, that person meant the absolute world to you, right? And you'd have all these positive emotional responses to them. And then something happened, right? He didn't know how to act right. Something happened, right? And over some period of time, if you're honest, the thought of that ex even kind of makes your skin crawl, right? How many of you had this experience where you may even think like, God, I can't believe I was dating that person? Now, whether or not that's true, that's not for me to decide. But do you see here how you trained yourself to act differently? You just told yourself that person's not serving me anymore. That's not good for me. So you trained yourself on a new response to that individual. Nothing I'm telling you is something new. You guys, you do this stuff every single day. Except nobody ever showed you how to do it in this area of your life where it matters the most. Okay. So here's the missing piece. So I was looking for a way to interrupt the signal, right? Do you guys remember when we when we used to listen to the radio and we were like driving in between towns and it would sort of like change to another channel and you could like hear both going on at the same time? Okay, well, I found that we could actually do that with the brain. See, your brain triggers a memory and it fires off a pain or pleasure signal, right? I showed you that with the hippocampus. But what I found is that we can jam the signal if we send a different signal to confuse it, a relaxing signal. Okay, how many of you guys know that there's specific areas on the human body that when they're shown attention, they relax us, like acupressure, right? How many of you guys have gotten a massage before? These are certain areas of the body that get activated when we feel good. Okay, so now y'all remember I'm a high school dropout, but I thought, okay, hang on a minute. So what if every time I feel a pain or a pleasure signal, I send a calming signal too? And the craziest thing happened. I first tried it with my cravings and it worked. And then I tried it the next time I wanted to eat emotionally and that didn't work. So I tried a different signal and I got that to work for emotional eating. But then I found myself sabotaging. I started losing weight and then I started sabotaging and putting weight back on. And so I realized I needed to come up with a whole different signal that would work for self-sabotage. And I just kept tinkering with it. And over time, I figured out that there are 12 different calming signals for the brain to completely cut the ties. So I did that. Every time I felt a pain signal, I sent a calming signal. And what I found is if you do this repeatedly, you not only jam the signal, you completely sever the ties. And over time, like I said, what I realized, no matter what happened to me that day, I was stressed, I got in a fight, I didn't like my body, there was ice cream in the freezer, my emotions no longer caused me to crave food. And this is how it works. When you do it repeatedly for a period of time, you can think about that bad thing that happened and your brain doesn't send a pain signal. You can still think of those positive memories, but you don't get an emotional response. That means you stop having cravings, you stop eating emotionally, you stop sabotaging yourself, and you finally no longer struggle with the constant food noise. So your body gets this message, this weight is no longer needed. Okay, now I don't know what traumas you have. I don't know what your specific food triggers are, and those are all things that need to be figured out in order to find your personal root cause so that we can sever the ties. Okay, so how many of you guys want to experience how this works? Do you want to see how we actually sever the ties? How many of you would love to turn off the food noise in your brain so that you don't overeat or actually leave some food on your plate, or maybe not feel that social anxiety when you go to a party? Okay, so we're going to do that. This process today, it's interesting. Since I moved back to the States, I was living in Spain before I came here, and like nobody's taking weight loss drugs over there. So that was something that I didn't know about, but I had some of my students tell me, I had some of my students use my method as a way to get off Ozempic. And they were telling me, oh my God, this works just like Ozempic because it stops the food noise in your brain. Okay. So when we sever the ties, that's basically what happens. If you've ever had that experience, who is here has experimented with Ozempic? Can you just type yes in the chat? I mean, no shame. I'm just really curious about that. And if you've experienced with it, what are your reasons for wanting to find an alternative solution? Ozempic, tirzepatide, the GLPs, side effects, not seeing results, doesn't work for me. I've been on it for 3 or 4 years. Okay. Interesting. The cost, afraid it's another gimmick. I'm afraid I'm going to need to stay on it for life. I'm afraid that if I don't take it, I'll gain the weight back. Absolutely. Black box warnings. That's scary. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, cool. So what I'm going to show you guys today is basically like the same thing. Okay. And if it's done repeatedly, you can shut off that food noise that your brain, that noise that where your brain keeps telling you that you got to eat food when you're stressed out. Okay. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to use today. We're going to go over one of the calming signals to completely sever the ties to your emotional eating. Okay. For those of you who are new to my work, what we're going to do is we're going to be using our fingertips to tap different acupressure points on the body. Okay. And you guys remember, all we're doing is we're simply pressing on specific acupressure points and we're sending a different signal other than the one that's going out. That's it. This is science. Okay. How many of you guys have heard of Morse code? What's Morse code, right? You tap and you send certain signals. This is the exact same thing. This is like your body's own personal Morse code. Okay. Certain pressure points equals your own Morse code. Does anybody think that that's weird? No. Okay. Yeah. Most of you guys are in it for the woo woo. Okay. Tapping is legit. Yeah. Cool. Your body is a map. Yeah, most of you guys all understand how this works. Okay, so this is the way. Basically, your brain is just sending electrical signals to your brain. Okay, and listen, this is the way that we do it right now. I kind of think that in the future, ChatGPT or AI is probably going to fix all of our problems for us. And when that does happen, I will find out and I will tell you how that works. But until then, this is how it works. I'm like your personal AI. Okay. I've got the maps, I've got the codes, and all we got to do is we got to update it and cut those ties. Okay. All right. So, for anybody that's new to tapping, what we're going to do, can you guys see me okay? Can you see me on the screen? Yes. Okay. Great. Thanks, Sally. All right. So I'm just going to go through the points here really quick. And then probably what I'll do is I'll take this slide down. You don't have to remember these points. Okay. I am going to ask for some volunteers. So if you would like to be on camera with me today, please make sure you have good lighting, that your sound and your video are working. I'm going to be walking everybody through this demonstration together, but I just like to get feedback from a couple people because it makes me feel like we've got more of a group dynamic rather than me just talking to the air. And it's also really helpful for everybody else that's watching to see a couple different ways that these that the technique can work and maybe certain problems that can arise. Okay. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take either side. We're gonna take either side of your body, and you're just gonna use one hand to tap on the karate chop point, which is the first point, and then we go to the eyebrow point, and then we go outside of the eye, under the eye, under the nose, chin point, collarbone point, under the arm. Now, if you've got really big boobs, or if this is hard for you to get your shoulder, you can skip this point, or you can go like this. I use these interchangeably. They both work. Okay. Or you can skip it if it's uncomfortable, and then tippy top of the head. Okay. Okay. So I'm going to walk you through a visualization. And what I want you to do, for anybody that's brand new to tapping, I want you to remember that you can't fuck this up. Okay. There's the only, actually, I take that back. The only way you can do this wrong is if you're thinking about something other than what I'm telling you to visualize in the moment. Like, for instance, if you're thinking about your to-do list, or you got to go pick your kid up from school, or you're thinking about a fight with your husband that you had earlier. That's the only way you can do this wrong. Okay. It's a very forgiving process. Just follow along. Don't worry about how many times to tap. Just follow along with me. Okay. But the most important part is that you're feeling and that you're visualizing the things that I'm guiding you to feel and visualize. Okay. That's the most important part. And then adding the tapping to it. Okay. Okay. So I'm going to introduce this concept of echo tapping. Okay. This was a technique that I discovered completely by accident. I had been working with tapping for a long time, and regular tapping wasn't working for me. And I was still struggling with emotional eating. And I had even launched a tapping program for weight loss, but I was still eating emotionally. And I felt super ashamed that I was teaching weight loss, but I was still eating emotionally sometimes. And I was in this magical phase of my life where I was living in Playa del Carmen, and I was creating the content for this program and the techniques, not knowing that that's what I was doing. But I was there, and I was taking a lot of long walks on the beach, and I was thinking. And what came to me one day was this series of commands, basically. And I got home. I was asking myself, how do I solve this? Please, Spirit, speak through me, guide me. I really want to solve this problem. And I literally heard like somebody was speaking to me a step-by-step formula of commands. And I came home and I wrote it down, and I tried it, and I didn't know if it was going to work or not. But once I did, it was the first time that I was able to feel an emotional urge and to be able to push that emotional urge for food away from me and not go back and want to eat the food later. Okay. So just a little quick, that's where it comes from. And essentially I coined the phrase echo tapping because it works by healing these younger versions of ourselves that get stuck in past experiences. Okay. So I want you to think about like those little indentations on your brain, like little traumatized versions of yourself that are like stuck in time, like stuck in ice, and something happened. And we're through this technique, we're going to go back in time, we're going to unfreeze them, and we're going to grow them up. Okay. So we started calling it echo tapping because what we're doing is we're focusing on finding all of these little echoes in your psyche. Okay. These echoes get created when something stressful or painful happens and your brain can't fully process it. Okay. The memory gets stored in the hippocampus. And then when something similar happens, it's frozen, but it can send off that trigger to the amygdala, and it can tell you like, hey, danger, danger, watch out. Hey, we've experienced this before. Right. And then your brain reaches for comfort food as a way to soothe those feelings. And then the cycle, goes on and on and on. So with echo tapping, we use the urge for food. We use the desire for food kind of like a map to take us to the experiences that need to be healed. It's kind of like solving a mystery. The food will tell us where to go next. Okay. And then when we connect with these younger echoes, in those moments, we can reframe those past experiences. You heal the stuck emotions, and that's how you break the cycle of emotional eating. Okay. All right. So let's get to work. Let's see. I want everybody to think about something. Okay. So we're all going to start doing this process together. I want you to think about a situation where you feel really out of control around food. Okay. You can think about an upcoming party that you're going to attend. You can think about going home to see your family, Or you can pick a regular habit, like if you always eat every night when everyone goes to bed, okay? Or maybe if you're at the office and you can't stop snacking, okay? You don't need any food today. Thanks for the question. No food is needed. This is just a visualization. So once you have your scene, I want you to tell me in the chat what you're going to work on. Okay. Are you going to pick a regular habit like snacking at the office or eating late at night? Okay. Jean says midnight. Dessert after supper. Okay. That's great. The end of the day. You guys are typing so fast. I can't read. Okay. Grazing during work from home. Awesome. Regular habit of snacking on cookies. Cool. Late night cravings, snacking after dinner, eating ice cream at night, eating and watching TV, eating when I come home from work, an event. Okay, cool. So you guys got it. Cool. So what I want you to do is I want you to imagine yourself I want you to imagine yourself in that scenario. Okay. So put yourself there. If it's late at night, I want you to be there in your home. Everybody's asleep. Or if it's after dinner, I want you to imagine that you just finished dinner and now you've got that desire for the sweets. If it's a party, imagine that you're getting all dressed up and you're ready to go in. You're like thinking about leaving the house to go to the party. Okay. And as you do that, I want you to notice your desire to want to eat food in this moment. Okay. So maybe if you're at a party, maybe you don't want to eat the food until you're actually at the party. Okay. But notice, see, we always give ourselves a number on a scale from 0 to 10, just so that we can measure our progress. Okay. And I'm going to stop sharing my screen for a minute because I want to stop share. Okay. I want to, if you would like to participate and be on screen with me. Oh, here we go. Raise your hands. Can you please raise your hand? Okay. So please have your scenario in mind. Tell me what your scenario is and have good lighting and good sound. Okay. Let's see. Okay, Christina, I'm going to make you a panelist. Tiffany, I'm going to make you a panelist. You should get a message on your screen to turn on your camera. Okay, I'm going to go back to the comments. Okay. Getting home from work. All right. So type your number on a scale from 0 to 10. How triggered are you to want to eat food in this moment? Okay. I see a lot of 10s, 6, 7, 8, 9. Awesome. Lonely at the end of the day. Oh, that's a great one, Sheila. Rosie, if you're a 6, so if anybody's a 6, I want you to think about what you need to do to make it even stronger. Okay. And Christina and Tiffany, you guys can turn on your cameras whenever you're ready. Thanks, Tiffany. Go ahead and unmute yourself. Here, I'm going to ask you to unmute. Oh, I can't hear you yet. There we go. Yep, I can hear you now. Okay. You there?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Okay. I put my AirPod away, so maybe you can hear me now.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. I've got really good, I can see your face really clearly too. Thank you so much. Christina, work on the same too. If you can get your camera on, and I'll come to you right after Tiffany. So what are you going to work on? What scenario are you going to work on, Tiffany?
I have family parties, and that's where I eat the absolute most. I like go crazy. And when you said that, I'm like, oh my gosh, I could sense every part of me just like enjoying the everything about it. I love the food that we have. It's just a good feeling. So yeah.
Okay. So I want you to actually pick something else.
Oh.
because that's a different problem. So just for educational purposes, cravings and emotional eating are two different signals. Okay. And I can tell by your words, what you're explaining to me is a craving. Cravings come from the pleasure center, the green part of your brain, and emotional eating comes from the red part of your brain. So I want you to think about something now, and maybe you don't do this. Do you eat when you're alone, or do you eat when it's more like eating when you feel bad versus eating to celebrate? I can't hear you, Tiffany.
Why?
There you go.
It's more or less when I'm, to celebrate too. Like, I don't know if I'm an emotional eater, if that's what this is. But I am.
Okay, so I want you to think about times that you eat that you know you're not really hungry.
Oh, that's when I'm bored, or when I'm sitting.
Perfect. Bored. Okay, now you guys, this is the benefits of having somebody really dial in on, because like say if Tiffany and I didn't talk about this, she would do the whole process and then it might not like work that well for her because she's not applying it in the right way. She's not applying the right signal to the right problem. Okay. So yes, Tiffany, what I want you to do is I want you to think about when you eat and you're bored. Okay. What's usually going on? What's going on around you? Is it like how do you become bored?
Feeling like that overwhelmed, like I have too much to do. And so then I just do nothing. Like it's that kind of boredom.
Okay, great. So it's bored, it's overwhelmed. And then when you think about, so when you put yourself in that mindset, I think you might be covering the microphone with your hand, just so you know.
Sorry.
Thanks. So when you put yourself in that scenario, and you've got that overwhelming feeling, you're kind of like bored and you're like, oh, I don't want to do anything. How strong is the desire to eat food in that moment?
Those are 10 moments. Yeah.
Okay, great. So that's what I want you to focus on when we do the tapping together. Okay.
Okay.
All right, cool. All right. Was that helpful for anybody else that to hear me kind of hone in on Tiffany's experiences? Because they're different. There's different ways to apply this. Very helpful. Okay, cool. Christina, you don't have your video. So I am going to just make you a participant again. Let's see here. Kelly. I'll try to add somebody else. Kelly, go ahead and try to turn your camera on. Just want to get a couple examples because it's really helpful for everybody else. Let's see. Kelly, go ahead and turn your camera on if you can.
I can't.
You can't.
I can't turn it on. There's no option. Wait. No.
Okay, that's fine. Kelly, let's just talk about it. So tell me what you're going to be working on.
Yeah, when my partner goes to bed, that's when I have cravings. I try and fight them and it never seems to work. I always give in.
Okay. Okay. So your partner goes to bed and like there's nobody there to observe you. Is that what it is?
Yeah, that's it. Exactly.
Okay. Okay. And in that moment, how strong is your desire to eat food?
It's like 11.
It's an 11. Okay.
Like I try to fight it and it's just it always wins.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So great. That's a really good example. That's exactly what I want you to work on today. Okay. So let's see. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to mute you again just so you guys can have your privacy while you're tapping. Okay, Tiffany and Kelly, you guys, I can't hear anything. There are going to be some times where I want you to say some things out loud. So don't worry, nobody can hear you. You're totally muted. Okay. So I want everybody to, again, put yourself in that scenario. Okay. And feel that triggered feeling. Okay. That 10 feeling. Can you guys see me? Can you guys see my face? Yeah, you can see me. Okay, cool. Okay, thank you. So I'm going to ask you some questions, okay? And I'm going to give you some instructions for a visualization. And I'm going to ask you a question like, how old are you right now? And don't worry, everybody's going to get the answer right, okay? When I snap my fingers, what I want you to do is I want you to allow your unconscious mind to answer the question for you, okay? And it can look like, it can look different. It's different for different people. It could look like seeing numbers of a certain age, like floating around you. It could look like seeing yourself as a child and just kind of like having a sense of knowing how old you are. Again, it could be like between like the 5 and 7 range, or, you don't have to get it exact. Or you might just have a knowing sense of the answer. You might just have this feeling where you're like, oh yeah, I know that I'm, 4 there. Okay. So what I want you to do is start by feeling that feeling. Okay. So we're all in that stressed out feeling. Okay. Kelly is in her house. Her husband's gone to bed. Right. We've got, you guys all have your scenarios. And what I want you to do is I want you to imagine that there's food there. Okay. So you feel that temptation. This is usually before you have food, you're already thinking about it. Okay. So feel that draw towards the food. Okay. Notice your desire for it. Maybe you got to get up and you got to go walk to the kitchen, or maybe you've got some food close to you and you're reaching to grab for it. Okay, but what I want you to do is I want you to, whether food is there or not, I want you to imagine that there's food in front of you, okay? And that whatever the food is that you really like. So if you like potato chips, for example, or if you want to go get the holiday leftovers, okay? Imagine that it's there in front of you. Pick whatever food or whatever foods, it really doesn't matter. The food here doesn't matter. The type of food here doesn't matter. It's just feeling the desire for it, okay? And then the next step, what I want you to do is I want you to, with both hands, again, in your mind's eye, you don't have to do this with real food. With both hands, I want you to take that food and I want you to push the food away from you, like arm's length distance out in front of you. Okay. And I want you to start tapping on the karate chop point. Now, this is going to feel bad. This is going to feel really bad right now, but I want you to tune into this feeling. And I'm going to ask you a question here. I want you to allow your unconscious mind to tell me, how old are you right now? Again, you might see a number, feel a number, or just have a knowing sense of the number. Go ahead and type in the chat. Tell me how old you are right now. Great. Okay, and now you're going to start tapping through the points. And I want you to see yourself at that age, 11, 7, 14, 10. Start tapping through the points as you see yourself at that age. And you're going to start walking towards her, okay? You're going to get closer and closer and closer, inching your way up until you're right there in front of her. Now, this will cause your anxiety to become higher, okay? I want you to just keep tapping through the points, okay? Take as much time with this as you need. If you need to go really, really slow, that's okay. Just keep tapping through the points as you get closer and closer and closer to her. Next, what I want you to do is I want you to step inside her body, open your eyes, take a look around, and tell me what's going on, even if you think you're making it up. Okay, keep tapping through the points as you do this. And I want you to allow yourself to feel all the emotions that you're feeling right now. If you're struggling with this, like being able to step inside the body, I want you to give yourself permission to boldly step into these feelings with the promise. I promise you that as soon as you do this, they will dissipate in seconds. Okay, I want you to keep tapping through the points as you do this. And I want you to notice what happened or what just happened. That's important here. Or what's about to happen. That's an important here. And if there's any words that you want to say about that situation, go ahead and say them out loud right now. Maybe it could be something like, that's not fair. How could you? That wasn't right. Why me? Whatever's popping into your head right now intuitively, I want you to say those words out loud and just remember to keep tapping through the points as you do this. Okay, I'm going to be quiet for about 30 seconds and I want you to say out loud whatever the words are that you need to say about this situation. And it doesn't take long. You'll notice that your body might take a little breath, or you might relax, or you might yawn or sneeze, or maybe some of you are having like a full-on crying session right now. Okay. But I want you to know here that once you feel that release, you're good. Okay. Now take a nice deep breath. And I want you to stop tapping here. I want you to come back to today, to the adult that you are right now. I want you to take a few nice deep breaths. Okay, and we're going to continue to tap through the points. And I want you to look at yourself at that age. Okay, now you're stepping, now you are the adult that you are. You're still with the younger version of you and you're tapping, okay? And as the adult that you are today, I want you to sit next to this version of you, or maybe you want to put your arms around her and hug her and give her a bunch of love right now. But I want you to tell her that everything is going to be okay. Because that's the truth. The truth is you're here right now. You survived whatever that thing is that they were experiencing right now. It was kind of like life or death in that moment. But the reality is they survive and they live and it's okay. And you're here to tell them that. Okay. And I want you to let her know anything else that's really important for her to hear. Maybe that you're there for her no matter what. And even if she can't depend on anyone else, you're always going to be there. You're going to help her. You're watching over her. I want you to keep tapping through the points and just tell her anything else that she needs to know right now. Keep tapping through the points as you say these words to her. And if you want to type it in the chat too, I would love to see it and hear it. And it would be great for other people to be able to share that moment with you. But keep tapping through the points as you do this. Yeah, this is really emotional, I know. I love it. You're good, even if you don't do anything. You're beautiful. Everything's going to be okay. I'm here for you always. I'm okay now. That's a great one. I will protect you. Yes. Trust that and trust your inner voice, knowing you're enough. I'm proud that you survived. Oh, these are beautiful. You are loved. You matter. You will be happy. Oh, amazing. You're not alone. I'm here to protect and support you. I love you and you are enough. Okay, now take a nice deep breath. And we're going to do a part 2 of this, okay? I want you to imagine, you don't need to tap for this part, But what I want you to do is I want you to imagine that you two are sitting next to each other. Maybe you have her in your arms, okay? And I want you to imagine these two huge golden angels coming down from the sky and wrapping you in their huge, amazing wings. Okay, and they're just filling you with bright white light and unconditional love. And as you sit there in this embrace with these angels, I want you to imagine this beautiful, magical shower, crystal shower head just pops in above both of you. And the angels turn the dial up, and it allows this, it's turning on this bright white light that's going to cleanse every part of your body. Okay. So imagine, turn the dial up, and this brilliant bright white light is cleansing every part of your body, your cells, your organs, your body, her body. Okay. It's cleansing both of you, your energy body, her energy body. I want you to allow this light to clean out every single area of your body, all the stuck emotions, the stuck energies, the limiting belief systems. Okay, just feel as this brilliant, bright white light is clearing out all of that debris. And guess what? The ground is like a huge vacuum cleaner, and the ground loves debris. In fact, it literally turns shit into flowers. Okay. So I want you to imagine the ground is like this huge vacuum cleaner, and it slurps all of the yucky stuff from your body into the ground. Okay. Take a nice deep breath. And I want you to imagine that this brilliant, bright white light is now there to fill you back up. It's to restore you to you. It's going to fill in those spots that were not you before. Okay, so I want you to feel as this brilliant, bright white light fills up the whole area of your head, into your neck, your shoulders, your chest, your arms, your stomach, your hips, your thighs, your knees, your calves, and your feet. And I want you to feel as you get so full of this brilliant, bright white light, that it actually shoots out of your fingertips, it shoots out of your toe tips, it shoots out of your head, and it spills out over your heart. So I want you to see and feel yourself fountaining this brilliant, bright white light. And now look down at the little you and look at her. She's fountaining this white light too. And I want you to notice the look on her face. Notice how she shifted. And at this point, you can ask her if she wants to come with you. Okay, so we found her, we saved her, we unfroze her, and we helped her see the situation from new eyes, from adult eyes. Okay. And so one of the best things to do is to actually shrink her down into little teeny tiny bite size, pick her up, put her in your heart, and feel as she grows up inside of you. Notice how she gets bigger and bigger and older until she becomes you as the person you are today, with this new way of seeing the world and this new way of seeing that situation. Okay, now everybody take a nice deep breath. and come back to your body. And now we're going to check our results. We're going to imagine that scenario that you started with, okay? And I'm going to check in with Tiffany and Kelly and see how they're doing. And please tell me what happened for you in the chat. Paula says, I can't stop crying. Tammy says she's laughing with a brilliant smile. Okay, Tiffany, are you able to chat here? Hey, Tiffany, how was that for you?
That was good. That was like I could feel like the emotion. Like when I think about me sitting at my computer right now, I don't even have that that thought of me going to the kitchen and even getting food. So that's amazing. Like when I like seriously, I'm just sitting in front of my computer and I'm just looking and I'm thinking, wow, I don't have that desire anymore. And I had Skittles. I did the one with you. You had a YouTube one, and I did one with Skittles. And I used to have like crave like so deeply with Skittles. And now I can have a few at a time and just eat them every once in a while. So
Amazing.
yeah, what's gonna happen when I'm sitting at my computer and I'm like just like trying to distract myself, and then so I go get food? I don't even have that feeling right now.
Isn't that awesome?
It
You're
is
so welcome.
incredible. Oh my gosh, this is amazing.
Oh, good. And see, no Ozempic needed. You can shut off that food noise if you just know the right steps. See how that
Yeah.
works?
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you, Tiffany, for sharing and being vulnerable. I know it's really hard to get on camera, and I just really honor you and appreciate you for being that great example. Thank you so much.
Thank
Yes,
you.
thank you so much. Okay, Kelly, I'm gonna unmute you. How are you doing? Kelly, you're unmuted.
Hi. I don't even know where to start. I don't have I don't have cravings typically right now anyway. It's later at night.
Yeah. So when you worked on that with your husband and you thought about him being gone or him going to bed and you were there, what happened for you? Ooh, you there, Kelly?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm sorry. I'm just thinking.
When you pushed it away, what happened?
Yeah, there was definitely a pain there. Like you can't take that away from me. That's BS.
Okay. Did you find yourself resisting the technique?
Yeah, maybe a little bit.
Yeah, I can feel that.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is when we need to get into self-sabotage, right? And this is where learning about all of the different signals and learning how you can actually interweave them, and how maybe in one scenario you actually need to use part of this signal and then the other part of this signal, and then that becomes the signal that's right for you in that moment. Because if you're feeling resistant and you're feeling like, oh, I don't want to push this away, I want to eat food, this is my time, then this technique isn't going to work for you in that moment. But pairing it with a different technique like the self-sabotage technique, it would work in that moment.
Yeah. I know
Okay.
self-sabotage is a big thing for me.
Is it? Okay.
I had my friend actually say that to me. I'm like, yeah, I know, but like self-sabotage seems like a basic kind of layer, but I think it needs to go deeper than that. Like,
yeah.
Why am I self-sabotaging?
Totally. Well, that leads us actually into, that's what we're going to talk about tomorrow, is we're going to talk all about self-sabotage, because that's one of the things that can happen is once you learn about emotional eating and you can push all your food away and you can turn off that food noise and it makes you lose weight. You will stop eating. You will absolutely lose weight. But the next part of it is that once you start to see success, you'll sabotage it. Most people sabotage themselves. There are very, very few people that once they start to see success with their weight, that they just allow themselves to enjoy it if they haven't worked on all the 12 signals. Okay. So I'm sorry, Kelly, that must be frustrating, but I really hope you come back tomorrow, because we're going to do another tapping example here, and we'll absolutely take care of that for you.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, it's something that I've struggled with all my life. I need to get it
Yeah.
and taken care of.
Good. Well,
I feel like this is the the opportunity.
You're in the right spot. You're in the right spot. Thank you so much, Kelly. And thank you so much, Tiffany, for your guys's examples and demonstrations. It was really helpful. Okay, so let's see. So I just want to share really quick. So tomorrow we are going to talk about self-sabotage. Okay. We are going to, we're going to do another technique that works on your changing your weight set point. Okay. So I've had students describe this as gastric bypass surgery without the surgery because of how much less they eat after it. Okay. So what I want you to do tomorrow is everybody come with food tomorrow. Okay. And the food that I want you to come with is I want you to come with food that it doesn't necessarily need to be craving food. I would prefer if it was kind of like a meal or something that you like, if it's your favorite meal on the planet, if you're like, oh my gosh, every time I have this meal, I just love this meal. It's so good. I want you to bring that meal to this class tomorrow. Okay. And we're going to work on that. We are going to talk more about cutting the ties. I'm going to show you literally how to change your weight set point, because the way this is going to come in handy, and if your stomach is smaller, it's going to help you eat less, right? You're not going to care about eating all the leftovers because your stomach is smaller. Like you're going to get full on less food. Okay. And that's what I really want. If you can learn these two techniques where you can push food away without feeling deprived, and you just like, just like Tiffany shared, like I'm sitting at my desk and I don't even want food. I am not tempted by it. Okay. Hopefully everybody had that experience today. And again, if you didn't, there are like Kelly, there are some, little like tips that once you kind of learn more about the techniques, you can learn how to pair them together to make sure that it works every single time. Okay. But I can only teach you so much in 2 hours. So I'm doing my best. But again, bring some food with you tomorrow, and we'll have another fantastic experience. Thank you so much for everybody that was here. I love doing this with you guys. I can't wait to see you again back tomorrow, day 2. Bye, everybody.